We've got a fairly full day of information, and then at about 10:45, we're going to stop, and Taft's going to come in, and we're going to have a question and answer, there's plenty of seats, on the current state of financing, the mortgage industry, appraisal issues, any sort of lender sort of driven deals. And then Taft is providing a luncheon today, and they'll be setting up around 11. I think we'll be ready around 11:15. Some healthy meals. I'm not familiar with this guy. Taft will have to tell us. Frank Triola.
Chef Frank.
Chef Frank is providing lunch, and he's promoting his healthy meals, which you order in advance or whatever, and they deliver to you. So he'll be able to tell you more about that later today or whatever. So just kind of getting started with the calendar again. We're here in May. April was good. They don't have the MLS statistical data out yet. They won't calculate it till later tonight or whatever. Then they'll release it to us in the morning at the MLS Advisory Committee, and then it'll go public later Wednesday afternoon or Thursday or whatever. But you know, it's much the same boat. I think the headline's going to be that the market's softening some. I don't know that that's a true statement because they're comparing the percentage of increase. If you increase 30% one year and you increase 20% the next year, to me, that's an increase, right? But they're going to say that it's softening because the percentage was not as great as the year before. So it doesn't mean that it's down. If you scored 21 points last week and you scored 24 points the next week, you scored more points, right?
Right.
But as a percentage, it was less than it was the week before. So it's what their headline is. But I think the headline is probably healthy for us. I think there's certainly bidding wars in many of the areas, land, the entry-level deal, but the softening has begun. I mean, if the first week of activity is still hectic, but by the second or third week, I mean, I am starting to see softening in certain areas. I see certain agents and certain segments of people starting to get a little more nervous because we don't have the same frenzy that we might have had in March or April. Not that there's not some frenzy, but I think it is starting to soften some. The market, tends to be hot at this time, and it tends to cool down a little bit in the summer. Remember, I mean, it's hot in Houston, Texas in June and July. Oil and gas people travel. I mean, it's going to start to soften to some degree, which will still be great market. Don't want to imply anything other than maybe not quite as wild as it's been before. You're going to see an attempt to correct some of the balance, I think. A lot of the inventory in the high end is going to come online. It's mostly in the high ends of all the markets that we're going to see. You're going to see more David Weekley houses, more Lovett houses, more in-town home houses. You're going to see more townhouses at $279 and $400 and $550, and you're going to start. I visit with a lot of appraisers and a lot of bankers, okay? And the bankers themselves are getting a little nervous. You can't pay 30% more for land in 13 than you did 12, and 30% more in 14 than you did 13, and assume that we can sell all the houses in the Heights at $1 million that we want, and then all of a sudden all the new ones are going to be $1.6 million. We haven't had but 4 houses over $1.6 million sell in the history of the MLS. How are we going to have 50 next year? So there's going to be, people are going to get tempered back into reality a little bit. It's not that the inventory is going to catch up by the end of this year. It's not that we're going to go into a free fall. I'm just telling you, unrealistic expectations are going to have to come in check a little bit. I think you're going to see the headlines head that direction. The national headlines are already there. It can truly be attributed to the weather for most of what they're talking about, but the economists are still talking about the housing market is still not full throttle. It's in a fix or whatever. So I think it's going to be interesting to see the headline and how it works. Statistically, we're still up. Statistically, the price per square foot is still up. Statistically, there's still not enough inventory, but it's going. I see the curve. The curve has started, and so I just want us to kind of be aware of where that's going. This week is a fairly busy week for those who are interested. I am having an event tonight for the Lieutenant Governor candidate, Letitia Van de Poop. It's at my house. You don't have to pay any money to go if you would like to go. I've already paid enough money. This is from 6 to 8 this evening or whatever. Certainly, if you'd like to go, feel free to attend. We are having an event on Saturday night. STAR's involved with the Blackwood Land Institute. This is a dinner in the backyard. They have a secret garden theme. It's predominantly in the yard. They're spending Thursday, Friday, and Saturday transforming my backyard into this little magical wonderland or whatever. I think it's going to be attractive.
Have fun.
And tickets start at about $75 for an individual ticket. They're fascinating people there. There's a little live auction and silent auction. We're having a baby shower for Melanie on Saturday. What time?
Starts at 12.
Starts at 12 at Balin. Everyone feel free to come to that also. I think there might be a seat, if not less than 400 seat. So plenty of activities going on. Our next movie event is the following week on May 15th. This is Forks Over Knives. We probably need an invitation that we can send out to the agents. This is about healthy eating. So I'm sure we're going to have lots of candy and Twizzlers and Milk Duds to go with our vegetarian.
It's about eating plant-based food, and wine could technically be.
Wine is definitely a plant.
Yeah.
I do not think we will be serving any carrots and hummus, but I'll have to think about whether or not we want to do that.
Yeah.
Or whatever. So that's kind of our next big event coming up there. No problem there. Anything else in May I need to know about? No. Mother's Day, Holy Mother.
You're going away?
I don't know that I'm going away yet, so I didn't want to say that. But I don't think that I am anymore. Okay. I wanted to make kind of the announcement for those. Jonathan, who had been at our Kirby office on the weekends, is taking over as Melissa's assistant or whatever. So you'll see more of Jonathan. He's kind of integrating into that position. So if you have issues with Jonathan, we'll be getting a new replacement for the weekends at Kirby. Our thought is that that person will probably work Fridays here so they can get integrated and see more people and see what's going on, and then work Saturday and Sunday at Kirby. So we're working on a new hire that you'll be seeing someone there. And we are going to try and transition more of Aaron, Sandra, and Lorna working more at Kirby. They're going to spend Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at that office so that we just have a little more activity going on in the Kirby office. But all that's going fine. We are going to have a conversation about back agents here. I think we made a mistake and sent out an email preliminarily about back agent because it got misrepresented. We are probably going to get rid of back agent. We're not going to get rid of back agent until we replace back agent with something more appropriate. We're going to have a transaction management system. My thought is we're going to have one different from back agent. Back agent was a nice next step for us when we had nothing, but there are better programs out there that we are going to evaluate. So for May, for now, if you use back agent and you want to use back agent, keep using back agent. If we're not ready to switch in June, just keep using back agent. When we perfect what it is that we're going to have, we'll have a class, we'll have a little training session, and we're going to switch. The other firms, HAR themselves, the Sure Close, or the other options that are out there, we're going to reevaluate them. We are predominantly trying to make your life easier, not more difficult, okay? It should be easy to integrate all of the forms from Zip Forms and DocuSign into whatever system it is, automatically to the client, to the title company, and it ought to be easier. I find back agents complicated. Better than nothing if you're not used to anything else, but I find it complicated, and I find a lot of duplication that perhaps we could change. Melissa and I are not big fans of it. We probably have the largest number of listings that are active at the moment, and so if the goal is for you to all have 10 buyers a month and 10 listings a month, and when you have 10 buyers and 10 listings and you don't like it, it's probably not a good program, right? If you have one listing, no listings, and one buyer, it probably works just fine because you don't have anything else to compare it to. But we're going to look at some of these other options and evolve into something else. But don't get nervous. If you love back agent, just keep doing it until we figure out something better to do. The goal is to make life easier, to integrate it where it's easier for the clients, the customers also need, they need the information. They need to know when their deadline for financing was. They need to know when their objection period started. They need to be able to log in and get to the survey and get to the appraisal and get to those sort of things. It ought to be more user-friendly for agents. It ought to be more user-friendly for the clients, and it ought to make your life easier and accomplish what we need from the corporate side, which is compliance, to make sure that all the information is there in the event that there's an issue with no signed lead-based paint addendum or signed with the wrong date or something. So we're going to transition into this. We're going to train into it. Don't get that nervous about it. I mean, I heard a lot of comments. It's just so interesting. The little family here can migrate amongst themselves and talk, whatever. But I mean, I appreciate the comments.
Ooh, I missed it.
Love it. Surely, you must have some faith that I know what the hell I'm doing.
Right.
Come on, give me a little credit here. We're not going to go backwards in life. We're going to go forwards.
So
Yes.
everything that's in back agent will be transitioned
Yes.
to whatever else?
It's all fine. No one needs to get nervous about any of that sort of stuff. I want to take a little deep breath and let us transition into something else. And there'll be multiple conversations about it and how it's going to work. Yes.
But meanwhile, if we do not like it, we can hand our stuff over
Just
to Morna.
stop doing it and go right back to the way we used to do it, and it's just fine. It's just fine. If you don't like it, you don't like it. So, any questions about that?
There you go.
Any comments? If you're vastly interested in this form of technology, you can raise your hand and volunteer to be in on this little study group.
Yeah, we're having a
Sandra
steering
wants to be
committee.
involved. We're gonna, Lorna and Sandra Ross and a few agents. We'll get together. If you're interested, let me know. We'll see how it's going over there. No problem with that, right? Okay. I want to talk a little bit about marketing and advertising just a moment too. We've created this new piece that I would like for you to start using, especially with listing presentations or whatever. It's kind of showing where the firm is advertising and promoting the listing side especially or whatever. So this would just be an information piece and the listing packet. And it's talking about all the places that we discussed a month or two ago where we tend to either advertise or promote ourselves there. And so you'll see these are the ones we're regularly in these, we're occasionally in these, we're quarterly in these, we're sometimes in these sort of things. And it makes it, I mean, your clients can't say that we're not more visible than we've ever been before or whatever. So we've got these sort of places, and then we've got this form, and then Aaron's working on one more, which is really kind of promotional about what we do. Sponsor the Timber Grove League Baseball, the West U Baseball, the Bayou City Art Festival, the Catholic Church Bazaar, the in-town, the near-town deal. I mean, all the other, the Heights Association for this. I mean, the things that we do in relationship also to the advertising to promote exposure and opportunities. That's tied into some new advertising that we're going to do based on the neighborhoods, from the Woodlands to Bel Air to Midtown to Montrose to Edu, and so we're going to be more neighborhood focused in some of these advertisings and another wave of advertising that we're out doing there. So those things are kicking out and they're available for you to use in listing packets now. Yes, Star?
Are there group opportunities to advertise in all those places that are listed, or is it just the
Every one of these places that we advertise offers you individual our corporate rate. Just like
a group where you don't pay for a whole page?
yes, Houston, okay. Houston, Bayou City just contacted us yesterday and said yes, they will kick our agents where you can get a quarter page ad for $250 or a half page ad for $400 or $600 for a full page or whatever, just a special for Boulevard Realty agents, okay? And you must understand, if you guys want to go advertise in one of those deals, which I want you to, but you're not required to, then I will pull out of, okay, Jan wants to go advertise in Houston Lawyer Magazine to promote Jan to lawyers. I will pull out of Houston Lawyer Magazine because I don't want to go and make it look like Boulevard Realty's competing with Jan over there at Houston Lawyer Magazine.
And then Jan gets to benefit from the contract rate that Bill's already negotiated
Yes.
with the vendors, so it costs less.
I haven't been advertising in Outsmart as long as Bob Desborn and Melissa and Karen advertise. When those agents stop advertising, I'll go back and advertise in Outsmart, but I don't really want to directly compete. I want them to call the agents who are spending money advertising. Yes, so we have corporate rates on each of these entities, and if there's not something here that you want, we'll get something else and pass our rate on to you. Absolutely.
But are there opportunities where, like if you didn't want to take out a quarter page, but you wanted to get together with some other agents, we could do some, I mean, is there anything
Absolutely.
going on like that where there's like
Absolutely.
maybe
I just need to
6
know what
people
you're interested in.
advertising at one time? Or?
Sure, sure,
So
sure,
with
sure.
houses, so you're
Yeah, like-
actually wanting to advertise properties and
Well-
do sort of a display ad?
Something where
Or-
there's, you know, where you
Or
can
your
maybe,
neighborhood realtor?
maybe if you have a house that you would like to advertise, but you don't want to buy a full page ad just for
Yeah.
that house, if there were some other agents that maybe.
Let me know, we'll send out an email or see if I'm interested in doing something to go in with you. Absolutely, absolutely, happy to do that. There's always the wrong things. This little deal, I don't know if you've seen it, is kicked out. This is our little publication. There were 8,750 of these things, I think, produced. We mailed to about 6,700 individuals that have some interest in modern home, have bought a modern home, have expressed interest in a modern home, have shopped at Roche Bobois or Design Within Reach or Internum or any of these sort of deals. We took all their mailing list and mailed them. We have 1,000 extra of these that you could take and use at your open houses, and hand deliver them, you can mail them, whatever you want to do with them. You know, this one focused on shade house development, kind of as our feature, which was just kind of, Matt and Tina Ford and the row houses up there at 25th Street. We're doing a number of these. The next one I think we've decided is really going to focus just on Brick Moon Architect, so we can have a wide variety of architectural styles and stuff. And then probably the next one right after that will be ready for a Bell Heights feature or whatever, so we'll focus on Bell Heights and Row and Ride and kind of that sort of modern tent there or whatever. So if there's something you're interested in, let me know, but these are totally available for your use. Anything that you want to do with them, you can. Sure you can. We control what, we're using their mailing list or whatever, some of our mailing lists, but it's our editorial content, our photographs, our designs. So if there's some idea or someone you think you
So,
ought to promote,
I
let
guess
me know.
that's back to Star's question, is what's the opportunity for agent promotion within these? Because
Yeah,
you
Star
look
can put-
great in all these pictures.
I'm the Queen of England, of course I'm.
I know that.
She can put her little photo on a little deal and mail it out to her clients. She can put her little photo over mine
You know,
and mail it
sometimes
to her clients.
they have, and I mean, the cost might be too much, but sometimes you'll see these things produced at other places, and there might be an insert page where it would say something from Star, a little note, and have her picture and her signature. Just wanted to show you what we're up to,
Yeah.
Eric
Boulevard
will
is
design
more-
everything for you.
Yeah.
He designed a lot of things for
I mean,
me, and
he can
I
design
just-
those little
Totally available to design a
Well,
mail out.
just to, I mean, you're already
Insert.
making that, and so then you could just do one little piece
You
that
can
would
do an
make it more
insert and insert
personalized.
it in there.
Yeah,
Just like this invitation has this little insert. I mean, we can do
Yeah,
an
like
insert
that.
page for you and.
and then
put
it's
it in that.
customized. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you know, guys, if you want to do the Heights pages too, they let you write an article. It's like $3.50 or something for maybe it's an eighth of a page or a quarter. They give you an article with it. So you look like an expert on something, or
Right.
That's
anyone
great
You
can
can write about your school, your church, your park, a dog park, a new restaurant review, anything, and then place your ad and they're coordinated there. Which gets me back to these other ads. I think you should probably either be using these ads to your advantage in listing presentations or on your website or at your open houses or something, so that we're sending a message. And we need to send a somewhat consistent message about what's going on. I've done a pretty good job of laying the foundation over the last 8 or 9 months with regards to these sort of things in our advertising. And they're all going to evolve here. But I mean, I thought our commitment to you and what we're doing, we're living in interesting times, making sense of the market, clients coming first, what makes an exceptional realtor, These are the messages. You got to be grabbing onto my message here and parlaying it into what it is that you're doing over there. If you're not reading these things, putting them in your packets, taking them to your open houses. And if I had an open house, I'd go over here and put this in there so that you're re-emphasizing. Look, I mean, it's in the front page of every newspaper. If you don't offer $10,000 more on the first day when a property comes on the market, you are wasting everyone's time. Wait 21 days and then figure out if you want it or not. There is no point when, if it's $199 in Pearland or $349 in the Woodlands, if it's brand new on the market, do not offer less than full price. If you're not offering more than $10,000 over the list price, you're not even, they're gonna laugh at you. And if you say, accept my offer within 5 hours, they're gonna throw your offer in the trash and think you're a pain in the ass. Don't wanna play with you. Let's be realistic. Our job today is to set a realistic expectation for the buyer and the seller. It's to educate them. It is to inform them. We don't get paid to find houses. We barely get paid to find the buyer. They're going to do it on the internet on their own. That's not what we're doing anymore. And as realtors, we're educating, we're setting expectations, we're serving as the intermediary, we're seeing the process through, we're serving as this amazing resource, we're offering guidance. Those are the things that we're doing. It's not finding houses, it's barely unlocking the door. Okay? We're having to, I mean, the internet has changed the way people shop. It's changed their perception. It's changed the value perception of things. I mean, I'm telling you, our industry has got to grasp onto this. It's exactly like Blockbuster 5 years ago versus Netflix, okay? They're gone. They're bankrupt. There is no more Blockbuster. There are barely any more bookstores in the world. Remember, we all used to have 15. Now we barely have one, and I'm not sure they're going to make it much longer. Real estate is the same way. Our services, the value of our service is evolving. And so we're having to lay this transition as to what it is that is most important for whoever we represent, the buyer or the seller. There's value in each of those deals. Yes?
I showed a property last week down in Bray something or another, I don't know what it is, out the Meyerland area. And it was on a combo. Have any of y'all had the ones where you do you put the code in and the public can access the house with the code?
Kidding.
No.
Sure.
What?
That's
And
awful.
about these ads, these are all, it would be so simple if you wanted your picture on it to put at an open house instead of Bill's picture, we can do that.
Absolutely. We have paid staff who can put your Photoshop you right over there and it's fine.
Yeah.
Now, I have tried to do it. We go back to Boulevard Realty and the evolution of the name and everything. I mean, I've had to go brand ourselves. I'm trying to take a more global picture over there. So yeah, I didn't want it just to be about the Heights office anymore, so I don't focus on the Heights office because I wanted to focus on Kirby and the others. I needed me to have an identity out there for a little bit, but it'll be less about me. I'm not trying to throw out me and Martha Stewart over here, Martha Turner. I mean, it's just, but I think we needed that transition, so they made a relationship between Boulevard. But we are immediately shifting back into houses also. So at the leader, our new ad will be this. It's going to be, we're going to start adding back the houses and things. So here's a listing, 1415 Columbia. This will be out this week. 1415 Columbia is available. It's available for you to do an open house on Saturday or Sunday. You don't have my name. We put the phone number of the office here so that any inquiries come over to Floor Time. You represent the buyer, I'll represent the seller. There's plenty of opportunities. If you have a listing from about Washington Avenue north, I'm happy to put it into the leader. Okay? If you have something in Oak Forest or Shady Acres or Sunset Heights, we're going to need some houses to put over here. Which we can do the same thing in Westview and the Bel Air Buzz and stuff, and we can advertise the houses. Some of those things, this we can pick by Tuesday and it's out on Thursday or something, but some of when you have to pick a house 6 weeks ahead of time, there's just been no point in putting the houses in an ad in Houston Modern Luxury when I have to put it in April 10th for something that's going to come out June 1st. These Architectural Digest ads are 3 months in advance. There's not like I'm putting it out the day before. So I'm having to send messages there, but we're definitely moving I want to promote some houses over here.
And that's
too.
gonna make the phone ring for prime agents, which is awesome.
Yeah, I think it should be a good message there. Okay, any question about the kind of marketing? Yes, Lauren?
Do we have anything that is available to put, I asked about the Houston Lawyer, but it wasn't available for like 3 months. Is there anything
It's
that's
a
available?
quarterly deal, so I
Is there
mean,
anything that's available to put something in like now? Like if I wanted to put something.
shit, they call me every day. Would you like to be in the Houston Texans program, or the Houston Rockets program, or the Astros program, or the Houston Grand Opera? Those are the ones that called me yesterday.
I want to put the Port Isabel thing in there.
Port
That
Isabel.
big Port
Port
Isabel.
Isabel.
The Business
This big
Journal,
house, I've got to sell that house.
the Business Journal, or the Chronicle.
Okay, I need
Have you
something more.
put it in the Galveston paper?
Yeah, we can put it in the Galveston paper. That's a perfect
Yeah.
one to put in.
Just doing the.
Why would you put it in the Galveston paper?
Do what? We have an ad every week.
No, why would you put a I was just curious, why you would cross.
Someone who's
Yeah,
vacationing
Port
in Galveston and just happens to be getting the paper but might want a home someplace else instead of Galveston. They may be vacationing in Galveston, decide they don't really like Bayou living, that they
Where is
prefer.
Port Isabel?
It's far, it's
I would
near
put it in the
Corpus
business
Christi.
section of
You
the
should put
Chronicle
that in the San Antonio paper.
Yeah,
because
and that's a great
everyone from
idea,
San
too.
Antonio goes,
to Port Isabel.
they go to
Okay.
Port Isabel.
Let's don't get too
Yeah,
sidetracked.
that's a good
Let's
idea.
move on. The new round of contracts that were accepted by the Broker Lawyer Committee and the Real Estate Commission go into effect June 1. We had a talk about 2 or 3 months ago of the proposed changes. They've been adopted now. These will automatically update. I don't want to get too bogged down in them. I'm going to leave them on the island for us to discuss. I just want to hit the highlights again of what's changing. These are the red line additions that we put on the island or whatever, and don't want to get too hung up on every little paragraph or whatever, but some things are moderately important. Nothing really on page 1 that was that significant, minor changes to properties and nothing major there. On a couple of the bigger ones, that on this present condition and as is, where the buyer accepted the property and you put it in, the property code always has this as-is provision. And so what they're trying to do is get off a present condition and make it consistent with the property code and the judicial deal. So they're taking out it's in present condition, putting back as is, and then defining better what as is. As is, as related to it may have defects, it may be without warranty, it has nothing, just it's consistent with the property code. So it's a change here into the acceptance of the property condition, okay? That's a fairly big one for people to kind of grasp there. We talked a couple months ago about we added this propane gas system for all the mobile home parks that you're going to be selling. So go ahead and be in compliant there. It clarified even more about the leases and the time frame for the seller to give the buyer copies of all the leases, the deposit agreements, the inventory and condition forms, and they're required now to do it within 7 days if they didn't do it before. And it prohibits the seller, clearly, from releasing, extending a lease, or doing anything with regards to the property while they're under contract. They can't extend the lease. They can't enter into a new agreement without the buyer having the right to accept that deal. So they've clarified that fairly well over here. Provide, kind of clarified a little bit of
Is
that
that
here.
within 7 days of execution of the contract?
That's correct. It's 7 days to provide that information there. We always talk about this. Thank God they finally clarified this. Mediation is no longer an option. It never was an option. No matter what box you check, the court system was going to send you to mediation where you are not bound by that mediation. But now there's no more box there anymore. You will go to mediation. You don't have to agree to it, and you can go on to the court system, but they've removed the little box there.
A lot of short sales and foreclosures.
Scratch out the provision, which they can. I mean, that's fine there. Biggest one, to provide the option check, we've gone from 2 days to 3 days from the effective date, giving us 1 more day over here to get the option fee received. That's probably the biggest, most important thing, which probably helped agents and the stress that it created there. So that's probably the largest one. You see the little gas propane deal. They clarified some of the language, and then how many more times Agents do not need to sign anything. Agents are not party to this contract, so it says one more time, do not sign. I don't know how to make it clear to be there, because the title company will call us all the time and say, you didn't sign it. I don't have to sign it. Not only do I not have to sign it, it tells me now not to sign it, okay? Just print in the information over here and make it clear. And they tried to clarify the name of the supervisor just a little more clear, because people are stupid. They can't figure out the name of the sponsoring broker there.
Can I add another page to the contract?
Not adding that page yet.
On the option,
On the option fee.
is it considered delivered if it's postmarked within 3
It is
days?
not.
Or hand?
It is not.
So it's signed.
It is not. If it's stuck in a mail slot and nobody signed and received it didn't
It has
receive
to
yet.
exchange hands.
It's not.
What
If
has
it's at
to
the
get signed?
title company, it's not receipted over there. People need to get off that. It needs to be hand delivered to somewhere. The agent's office, or someone representative who will sign for it. And we
we
make
have a
these
form?
receptionists sign for everything. It's better that we sign for it than we just let it get lost or whatever. So yes, to be effective, it has to be signed.
So do we have a form, like if we're sending the option fee over to Greenwood King, is there a form that we send with it over there to get it
You
signed
send
back?
John or Eric and they get it signed by the receptionist over there.
It's the last page of the contract.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I know, but I mean, but to Jeannie's point, with the actual hand-to-hand delivery acceptance.
So there were modifications to the condominium contract, the unimproved, the new home complete, and the new home incomplete. Mostly consistent with this, nothing too complicated. I don't want to get bogged down in the farm and ranch contract over here and the shortage of areas, but there were some clarifications, most of which we've all discussed over time anyway about the intent of the property code and the court systems. I don't think there's anything major there. But I just want, they'll be here, you can go to TAR and see them, you can go to Trek and see them, you can go to HAR and see them. It's just easier if I print them out and go over the changes that are there. The next most significant one probably is the termination and release of earnest money, which is being modified to be renamed the mutual termination of contract and release, which was better than just one side. But there's going to be discussion about it. It won't be adopted until later in the summer. I'll bring it back when they have a prototype for comments or whatever. It is very complicated. We have gotten into this issue a bunch where we've had to create forms when you have something, $200,000 deal, and there's $10,000, and you want the seller to go make the repair, and we're releasing $5,000 to the seller, but we want to get credit for the $5,000. The current form that they've accepted, releases all the parties from all the liability. So it's been confusing where you have a partial release of the money that's going to the seller. So we give $100,000 to the title company, we give $90,000 to the seller over here to enter into our deal so that he goes makes the changes for the buyer or whatever. The current form promulgated is not a very good form for the buyer. Very good for the seller, it's not real good for the buyer. We have created our own a couple of times that we've used that I think the buyers have found way more acceptable than been fine to the seller. I think you're going to see some movement over there, which should be good. I think you'll get in more fights over earnest money. You can get in a lot of fights over earnest money in a recession because just times were shitty. When things aren't shitty and people don't close, you're going to find greedier people because they can be. And so I think you're going to see more fights over earnest money gear back up. It's the same thing. You'll have more agents that are newer, that are not experienced, that haven't weathered the storm of 08, 9, 10, and 11, that don't have the experience of fighting over earnest money. You've got to remember, even the firm, we track our inventory of our houses for Boulevard Realty. January 1, we had $32 million worth of inventory. Today we have $58 million. Almost double 4 months later than we had, which creates stress on the staff and the showing and stuff. The inventory is increasing. It's increasing in the city. We haven't entered, but how many of your things we have in? 5. 5 out of 47. We haven't entered those things in. We haven't entered a lot of things in just because we don't want to convolute. But the inventory for the MLS and the activity is going to increase fairly significantly here. But wanted you to be aware of these changes here. Nothing too significant there. I'll update us on MLS activity next week. I want one more meeting which I'll have tomorrow, whatever. Clearly, there's changes in MLS. I mean, there's the movement. How are we going to deal with coming soon? How are we going to do with the ethics of coming soon? Your client sees it. The agent got an offer that was $50,000 over the list price, and it sells before it ever was available to you or your client. Okay? Is there a breach of responsibility to the other agent side or the people who are members of the multiple listing service? Well, sure there is. You told my client it was going to be available publicly, and then you never made it available. That's a huge issue within the MLS at the moment or whatever. Non-MLS things and whether or not they have an active listing agreement and what is the compensation. We're not on MLS anymore. MLS is what determines compensation or whatever. How are we going to regulate compensation for non-MLS properties or whatever? What is the compensation? What's the expectation of compensation for non-MLS deals? So trying to get clarity there. Trying to get clarity certainly on getting the information updated on MLS as quickly as possible with regards to the number of days you have to change over and the status change or whatever and how we're handling that.
How about clarity on putting out there that you'll accept offers till the end of the week and then don't?
Yes.
That's a big one.
It's a big one.
Yeah.
It's a big one. It's embarrassing for agents. It makes the buyer feel like they have to go to the listing agent versus
Right.
using another agent. It's an
Exactly.
intentional deal that's undermining all the buyer's agents in the area. And so we've got to find a way to deal with that. They're definitely loosening some of these photo requirement deals and the rendering deals. I mean, they're making it a little easier. You can put the rendering up now. You can put the renderings up, it's fine.
What are we supposed to do? How many times do we get yelled at for putting up some other house?
We're working on that. We're working on the photo issue and the previous house issues again tomorrow. They're on the agenda for discussion. You know, it was where we were before, come on, you know, if whatever, you know, Richard Ray puts a house up and it shows that it's brand new and my clients get all excited, we go over there and there's not a stick up yet. I've wasted a lot of time if I've driven to the back of the Woodlands to Carlton Woods to look at a house and it ain't there. And same thing, Levitt and all them, they got sued because they'd have a picture of a house and have a beautiful Aura bronze fixture, and people bought a house and that wasn't the fixture that they got. They got something else, a cheap polished chrome one or whatever. And so they were getting in trouble for making representation of what you were selling, but you weren't giving them that tile, that color scheme, that light fixture, that, I mean, it was confusing to people. So, but I think, because we want to sell houses, they're loosening up some of these. There's a huge discussion of the ability to use previous photos from other agents. The last, you know, with the house sold 4 years ago and you want to use those photos, you know, what is the inherent harm? It's done, you know, but we'll see how the discussion goes.
Well, with
tomorrow.
permission of the other agent.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. We'll see, and I'll report back next week on some of those deals. But definitely trying to make the agents look good versus bad is the key there. Any questions about any of that at the moment? Mr. Taff, are you ready to talk?
I am ready.
10:45, I was right on the money.
Perfect. Good morning, everybody.
Morning, Tab.
I want to thank all you guys for a great, what we have, 4.5 months now of the year. It's been a good year. And to thank Bill, I did the back landscaping here.
Nice.
My queer eye came out a little bit. It happens occasionally. I'm going to answer any questions y'all have, but before that, I just want to ask, who's been in a multiple offer deal? Anybody? They're all multiple offers. Yeah, that was a trick question. Yeah. Anyway, so if you are a listing agent, do you want an offer from Chase with the national appraisal company that can close in 45 days, or a local broker can close in 3 weeks that uses Brubaker and Associates? Probably the latter of the two. Yes, but I don't like that word. The C word is what he calls it. I don't like it. So anyway, yeah, just be sure that it's cash.
Thanks for clarifying.
Yes, very true. There it is. So I mean, if you can, try to get your buyers to, I mean, at least just let me give it a shot, you know, say, hey, get a second estimate from Taft and they'll take care of you.
Could I read a 80-word email that I got yesterday from a client?
Sure you can.
He wrote this to Bank of America. It's disappointing and frankly surprising that as in-town's preferred lender, BOA can't be more accommodating and reasonable with an in-town customer under these circumstances. As a result, I've decided to switch to a different lender which has agreed to fund my loan at a lower interest rate, not charge me unjustified fees, cover the title policy, and still close on time. I withdraw my loan application with BOA and bid you adieu. And that's because Taft's taking it over.
Still, we should be able to close, and don't tell people this, but I can close in less than 3 weeks. I can do it in 2.5 weeks if we had to. But let's do 3 weeks minimum.
And I wouldn't have put Taft in that situation, but my client was so frustrated. They were charging him $1,400 to extend the lock, and you know they were the preferred lender. They knew that the closing was going to get extended.
Well, and with these preferred lenders, they say, oh, we'll pay your title policy, we'll pay points. It's just they're moving money around. They're charging a higher interest rate. If they charge a point, charge a higher interest rate, say, oh, and I'll pay your point. Well, if I'm not even charging a point, that's kind of a wash. And their fees, they just raise the fees to cover. They got to get it from somewhere. So, I mean, I'm paying his title policy, still going to be able to feed the kids with whatever's left over, so, you know, still going to get it done for them.
Well, you wrote the email very well.
Yeah.
Damn it, they figured it out.
I have a question. I took a class a few weeks ago with a broker that, a banker, a mortgage broker that gave a class on how to win in a low inventory market. So we had all, he had all these strategies on how to win the contract. So one of his, and I want to see if you would do this too, if you have a buyer who knows they're going to buy within the next 60 to 90 days, can they, and they know their price range, can they come to you and get it in underwriting before they have a property? And that way when the property comes up, they can offer that they're going to close in 2 weeks?
We don't do that for various reasons. One, the pricing that I'm able to offer is because of our lack of underwriting fallout, lack of lock fallout. I mean, there's just several reasons to do that. But that's with me, it doesn't really matter because once I get a contract, I can have underwriting results in 48 hours. So you're not going to lose any time on that. What's taking the longest right now is the appraisals. And it was a little bit over 2 weeks, and now I've got them under 2 weeks now.
Okay.
So
it's because they're just so busy.
yeah, it's so busy. But even with that, I can still close in 3 weeks, so or less.
That's awesome.
Interest rates?
That's another thing. Interest rates had just dropped again to 4.25% on a 30-year fix. It was last year, the end of last year, they were thinking we'd be at 5% middle of this year. Rates keep going down. They dropped 0.25% in the last couple weeks. So.
I got an email last week from somebody that they were doing, basically they were going to be able to start loosening their documentation records and getting back to a low doc loan. Are you seeing any movement towards that yet?
I wouldn't say low doc, but that's a good point. My lender there, I use Flagstar Bank, they've gone to a make sense underwriting. Like within the past 6 months, they got a new president, and the president came in, he actually met with me personally. He said, if it makes sense, we'll do the deal. And there's been like 3 or 4 deals that 6 months ago, they would have just said, nope, can't do it. But we just went up the chain, they did it. I mean, and it was stuff outside the box. I mean, because they have their guidelines.
Logic.
Well, yeah, Jay.
Really outside the box, and hey, that was last week, so.
Yeah, initially they said, nope, we're not going to do it, deal's dead. And so I just talked to management and got around it. So, yeah.
Soon, a little phenomenon around this time of year, maybe a little bit later, is that people use their 2013 tax return. You know, they made $50,000 in 2012 and $100,000 in 2013, and they want to use that money. But A, it hadn't been verified yet, or they really filed an extension because they owe $10,000 and they want to wait till October 15th, and so we get caught in these little deals that you can't use that tax return if you haven't filed the tax return, and soon we need to verify, and we're going to run into waiting for the IRS to pull those transcripts to see if they're accurate.
They're running like 6 to 8 weeks for that.
Explain how that works again.
Well, so if you need the 2013 to qualify, it just takes 6 to 8 weeks from when they've filed. So it's not like they can file and then we're good, we can do it. It's got to show recorded with the IRS. So if they file today, you can't do a 30-day closing because you got to wait 6 to 8 weeks to get the results back. You know, hopefully you don't need the 2013 and then you just have to show that it's been filed, but you don't need that.
It's when their income changes
Yes.
dramatically, you know,
Yes.
from 11
When
to
you need
12
it
to
to
13,
qualify.
and we have to have 13s because it was so significantly higher than 2012. But it
Okay.
starts to get us at this time of year, and a lot of time it catches us because, like I say, they didn't file April 15th, they filed an extension, and they filed May 1st, and now we're not going to have that verified by the IRS until July 15th.
Yeah. So just be leery of that,
Okay.
or I need to be leery of that and watch.
Or you just be
Which I do. I mean, I watch that and let people know that that's the case. So
I've never done a VA in my life, and I have a VA client right now using USAA. Do you do any products, VA products?
I do VA. Actually, we just started doing VA. I did them a couple years ago, then I just kind of quit doing them because that's just not the clientele that I usually have. But now we're doing them again. My loan officer, Will, who works right up the street, just did one and went easy, smooth, no problems.
He's having trouble, USA.
Yeah.
Does
Send
it
them up.
go-
FHA. Oh, it's an FHA.
What's the loan on FHA?
295 now. Just went up to
295.
295. It was 271.
And so what are you seeing? I mean, New York Times, we're talking about these jumbo rates are now just as competitive as the others.
Jumbo rates it's amazing. They're almost to conforming rates now.
Right.
It used to
It
be
used to be a point or so
Yeah.
difference.
Wow.
Now people are able, I know you may not, but my Shannon closing, 2.1 million, the guy put 20% down, so he financed 1.6 million, 10-year arm at 2%.
Yeah, that's unreal. Yeah.
Wow,
So
2%?
I went on a listing appointment Saturday in Bel Air. They just bought the house. They paid $1,380,000. They'd spent about $50,000 fixing things, and he wants to sell. And the market's going up. But one of his considerations is he had 2% money, and he wasn't sure that he could still get the same. You know, if he has to, and it's just trading houses.
Yeah.
He wants a bigger backyard. He doesn't like his garage. Is the reality. And so he figured out it's a long way to back up. And one of his considerations was, is the interest rate going to cost me more today than it cost me 1 year ago? And in reality, it's not going to.
This is an arm, not a balloon?
10-year arm.
Arm?
Yeah, but for 10 years it fixed.
Yeah, it's fixed for
But
the
it's
first
got-
He's a oil and gas guy. He's never lived anywhere more than 3 years. So he's saying, why do I want to pay 4 1/4 when I can pay 2? Because they're going to move me somewhere in 3 years.
Can you
Well,
refinance to an arm?
Sure you can.
You can? Okay.
Yeah.
7-year-old.
Sure you can.
But an arm just has a margin to go up. A balloon, you have to pay off at the end of 10 years.
Yeah.
There's not. There's only balloons on second liens.
Yeah.
First liens.
So it would go up a maximum of 2 points in the
Yeah,
first year.
yeah,
There is
yeah.
a limit to what they can usually make them. But it could go up to 9 or whatever.
So what's the payment for $1 million at 2%?
Oh, jeez,
You're
I can't do that. I can't just do that in my head. Most of the time I can, but 2% on $1 million.
4,800.
Yeah, not bad.
Thank you.
That's
It's
You should know.
It's about
David.
Yeah,
How much is your mortgage?
It's about 3,000.
So for $3,000 a month, that you can go rent an apartment for, you can own $1 million.
Well, then you got your tax and
Yeah, well,
insurance.
those are.
That's
tax
gonna be
deductibles.
another
Right.
$4,000 or $5,000. So, yeah. I actually did an arm on my house. Shoot, I've been there 9 years, and I did a 3-year arm. It's gone down every single time it adjusts. We're paying like 2% on our. I mean, my payment is nothing. It keeps going down every time it adjusts.
Yes, Brad?
I would like to attest quick turnaround times on getting people pre-approved. I had a client, we went out
Yes.
looking at places this weekend, and he comes to me with this Chase pre-qualification letter that I wanted to throw up on. And so we go, and of course we like the house, and it's on the weekend, and this is all I have to work with and send to people. So I send it just to say, hey, look, and he's making application with this guy right here, you know, and basically the next morning, boom, it's there. And then so I can send it off, and we ended up getting it because of that, because I told him it was coming, and then it did when he said it would, and we got the deal done in a multiple,
And I am 24/7.
multiple offer
I don't-
situation.
I don't lie about that.
Yeah.
That's just for auditing purposes. I need to have that. I'm not 9 to 5. Star knows.
Likewise, I should say that Taft helped me put out a fire at.
On my damn anniversary at 8 o'clock.
Friday night. But he was so quick and
My wife was like, get the damn phone. She's not going to quit calling you.
He was so quick and responsive that everything went through and without a glitch.
Yeah.
And so we're closing on it.
Yes.
Thanks to Taft.
And Taft's pre-qual letter mentions Brubaker.
Yes.
And for the agents in the know, they tell me, oh, well, that's why we
Yeah.
picked it. We like
Yep.
that, you know,
Right.
so.
That's, yeah.
All right, talk about our food.
Frank, what's up, buddy? How are you? And some of y'all see me eating his meals. I don't know if I have a small one in here. I think I ate. Oh, no, I didn't.
I have a couple out for you.
Yeah.
I gave an enchilada and your wife ate it. She's like, don't, she texted me, she's like, don't tell him I ate it. And I said, I'll bring another one.
He drops off the food and she already marks the ones that she gets. No, but it's great. Frank does these little meals. I don't want to compare it to My Fit Foods, but it's the same size as that, but it tastes amazing. I've already lost 4 pounds in 3 weeks eating his meals. Yeah.
So you order online?
You can go online. It's www.cheffranktriola.com.
Chef Frank what?
Triola.com, I have some cards. And you can just go online and order. My kitchen's in Midtown. I cook for the Dominican Friars Monday through Friday.
Awesome.
And I have a personal chef for, this is confidential, the McNairs. I do Mark's Family.
Yeah.
And I do this is regular food. I do regular food, healthy food. I was the chef of the Rockets for 6 years. And I do all my, even on my nutritional labels have Weight Watcher points, because I do a lot of Weight Watcher customers.
So you'll have a little label with all the calories, protein, carbs.
All your nutritional information is on the label.
You order one day in advance and you deliver, or someone picks up?
I deliver. That's the difference between me and, you know, I
Bill, what you
know
do is
My Fit
splits.
Foods guys, Mario Anthony, they're good guys. I just stopped doing healthy stuff, so I still visit my restaurants. And I got back into it when I got out of restaurant business. So I've been doing it now again for 4 months, and I have over 80 clients that I do healthy food for.
And they last about how long? You ordered like 4 days?
Well, everything I use is organic, so even my fish is organic, chicken, vegetables, and it's fresh, no preservatives, so it's gonna last you 5 to 7 days. 'Cause everything's made the day before. If you order, I make it. That's the beauty of having a kitchen. And so, the difference between me that I like to do compared to other healthy places that do now is I'm more personal, so I can work with your diet. I have a heart transplant patient, I got a liver transplant patient. So I take care of you, gluten-free, low sodium, you know, I've done all that. I can help you if you want to gain weight, lose weight, whatever you want to do.
So, okay, so you know, Dr. Younger, the clean diet, clean eating, clean gut, all that?
All
So
that.
you can do all of that. So what's your typical, does your client typically order twice a week? Once a week?
Most of my clients order, my big day is Monday delivery, then I drop off Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. It depends on if it's a family or if it's individual. I have drop-off points at a gym off of 12th Street on Post Oak, North Post Oak, kind of over there by the Galleria. But I can drop off delivery straight to your house, or like when I go to Sugar Land on Mondays, I meet at Whole Foods right in front of My Fit Foods.
Awesome.
And I meet 12 customers over there.
But you could like drop off at the office if a bunch
Drop
of
off
us
at the
wanted.
He drops off 20 meals for us every Monday morning.
So we just come to your house.
To my house, yeah. No, I eat all those. But it lasts a whole week, and they taste as good on the 7th day as they do on the first day.
If you do the program, I do like snacks. I make my own jerky. I make nut mixes. I do yogurt parfaits. Everything's organic. Everything's fresh.
It's all on the website, whatever.
All on the webpage.
And how much does it cost about? Like, per day,
example,
per
say
meal.
if you do a full package for one person, breakfast, lunch, and dinner with snacks is $160 a week, and that's delivery included. I got people that do just, do just dinners 3 nights a week. And if it's 3 nights a week, it's different. All the pricing is on the webpage. There's different things, and I work with people, so.
What are we eating today?
Today you're eating, this is not healthy. This is chicken
That's
with
good.
Italian breaded chicken with lemon butter sauce, lasagna, and Alfredo with bread, and then our house salad with our house dressing.
Yeah, definitely not.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments today?
That would be a good closing present for people that are moving in, is to have them deliver over a couple of days of food on the day that they're moving, and just stack the refrigerator for
Plus, for
them.
open houses.
Yeah.
Great for open houses.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Okay, we're done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.